Welcome, guys. I'm your host, KC Phoenix, and this is my daily thought, third day. As you know, this is a supplement to the Keeping It Real with KC show. I've been enjoying it so far. I hope that you have too. Those who have been watching, whether it be on YouTube or on Daily Motion, or those who have been listening on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, whatever. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting website. All the other important links are in the details section. This daily thought, because I had, as I always say or said before, I have tons of thoughts every day. And I try to write things down, which I wrote some stuff down. And more than likely, I will eventually cover what I wrote down. I may do it as a daily thought, or I may just turn it into Keeping It Real with KC episode. I don't know yet. But one thing that did stick in my mind was how we take things for granted. And I feel people take too many things for granted. And not necessarily the big stuff, but also the little stuff too. Where speaking, people who can speak, they take that for granted. Not everyone's vocal cords work. Being able to walk, if you can walk, or run. Some people take that for granted. They just get up out the bed because it's an everyday thing. They get up out the bed and they walk to the kitchen or to the bathroom or to wherever. And it's just an everyday thing. It's second nature. But not everyone can walk. With turning on the electricity, which I have my light on, strangely, because I've been trying to save electricity, because as you know, we're going through a heat wave in Los Angeles right now. But just flipping the light switch, even whether the bill is paid or not, something could happen one day and it just doesn't come on. People take that for granted. Relationships. People take those for granted. Whether it's with coworkers or friends or family. The reason I bring this up is to enjoy things as much as possible, including life. People take life for granted too, that they'll just automatically wake up the next day. Enjoy things as much as possible, because everything is on a cycle. Everything. If you're in a relationship with someone, it will have its cycle. The cycle will continue for a long period of time where you're married and one person leaves and of course the other person is left. That cycle of course ends. There are cycles where it ends before the marriage is over. With friendships, friendships don't always last forever. Things happen where the cycle stops. It reached this point, it reached this conclusion. But while you were in that cycle with that person, I would think, I would hope that the moments that you had, you enjoyed them to the fullest extent that you could enjoy them. Not something where you're on autopilot, if that makes sense. Just like I said, where it's second nature, when you get up out of bed, if you're able to walk, and you don't think about it because you do it every day. It's like you're on autopilot. It can be like that in relationships too, whether it's marriages, friendships, co-workers, whatever. If it's co-workers, you on autopilot. You just clock in, go into the office, do your thing. That's it. You might talk a little bit and then go home. And it becomes a regular thing 40 hours a week. And when you're on autopilot, you can't enjoy things as much as you should because you don't take the time to notice. You don't stop and smell the flowers. You don't live in the moment. And one reason I believe people don't live in the moment is because they take the next moment for granted, which is why they're on autopilot. If you go into a job, but you don't know if you will have a job the next day, you're not going to take it for granted. And you're not going to be on autopilot. And you'll work hard, you'll enjoy every moment. If you build a relationship with a coworker, then every single thing involving those moments of that day, because of the uncertainty of tomorrow, it will stick more with you because it's like you savor it, almost as if you're eating a good dessert. My favorite dessert is cheesecake, so I eat the dessert slow. And to be specific, blueberry cheesecake. Favorite dessert, because I love blueberries. I want people to savor their moments, whether it is turning on a light switch, whether it is streaming and having access to the internet so you can watch Keeping It Real with KC or listen to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast, or a telephone conversation with a friend in Augusta, Georgia. Wink, wink. I love you. You know I love you. I really believe that the world should just savor things a little bit more and not take everything so much for granted. And I put myself in that category too. I have taken plenty of things for granted, especially as I've looked at things over the past few months. There have been things and people that I know I've taken for granted, that they would just always be there. And when they're not there anymore, it makes you think. But like I said, everything has its cycle. Everything has its time. You can't control when a cycle ends. You can't. And by control, I mean you can't control the external factors that contribute to the cycle ending. Obviously, if you don't want to talk to somebody, you cannot take their call, or if you don't want to turn on the lights, you don't flip the light switch or whatever. But I'm talking about external factors. You can't always control those things when it comes to cycles. But you really should appreciate those things, whether it's material or health. A lot of people take their health for granted, but I think due to the current situation, some of the people who have taken their health for granted, they don't as much anymore. And I was one of those people too, guilty as charged. And as you savor the moments, they stick to you better. You remember it better as time goes on. And it sort of goes back to what I was talking about yesterday in my daily thought when I said laugh. If you're able to recall a moment that just made you laugh, that made you happy, it's because in that moment you were not taking whatever it was for granted. I had a dream when I woke up this morning, and that sounds so weird saying that out loud, because anytime someone says I had a dream, obviously it goes to the whole Martin Luther King thing. But I had a dream. I literally had a dream when I woke up this morning, or before I woke up this morning, and it was about one of my grandmothers. And I was talking to someone, and I was on the phone with my grandmother in my dream. And they said she spoiled you. And then my grandmother heard what they said while I was on the phone with her. Now, mind you, both my grandmothers are passed away. But my grandmother heard what she said, or heard what the person said, while I was on the phone with her, and said, yeah, I did spoil you. And when I woke up smiling. Because my grandmother, my dad's mother, my granny, she did spoil me. Like, I was spoiled rotten. And I thought about when I would go to the grocery store with her, and I could literally throw just about anything in the grocery cart, just about anything. And she didn't care. She wasn't like, put that back or anything like that. It was never, it was never the case. And I think about moments like that I savored because I didn't take her for granted. I didn't take moments like that for granted. I knew that she wouldn't be around forever, and she wasn't. She actually, a lot of crazy stuff happened when she passed away. It was like one thing after another thing after another thing, and I'm like, huh. But the thing is that I have so many memories of her because I didn't take my moments with her for granted that I could sit here and tell you about, but I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to bore you. And that's what I want people to start doing is not, like I said, not just relationships with people, but just things in general. Just like if you place an order on Amazon, and do that, or Walmart, or whatever. If you order something and have it shipped to you, savor the moment that you're able to go online, pick out something, and have it delivered directly to you. That wasn't even possible, 100 years ago, in the sense of it's delivered to you within a day or two, depending on what type of shipping you get. That wasn't even possible. But it's little things like that we take for granted. Like I ordered some apple cider vinegar gummies, and I ordered something else recently. So much stuff comes to me through Amazon. It's just like you would take it for granted. But I'm saying even those little things, not necessarily having the money to buy the product, but the product being the logistics and the infrastructure being there that's able to get the product to you where you don't have to wait for it. All this information, we take it for granted. This I feel. That's another thing. Like now my brain's starting to really, really work. That's another thing. The information. There's a ton of information on the wireless phone. If I want to learn something about a country, I can look it up. If I don't know how to cook something, I can look it up. I can learn how to cook a recipe like a chef at one of the most luxurious restaurants in the world, if I want to. All I have to do is type in what I'm searching for and do that. I can learn just about anything that any professional already knows because I can type in the search. Now, with being able to process and go through absorbing the information, that's one thing. But the information is there. And we take things like that for granted. If you don't know how to reset as a matter of fact, true story, my PS4 controller a few days ago went to white, where if those of you who have a PS4, this usually shows up blue. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm showing my PS4 controller on video. This usually goes to blue when you turn it on. For some reason, when I was watching something on YouTube, I hit the PlayStation button and then it went to white and it wouldn't work. And then I plugged it into my PlayStation and it still didn't fix the issue. I turned the PlayStation off. This was still white. It wouldn't correct. And I'm like, what's going on? And my knee-jerk reaction, because I order so much stuff, my knee-jerk reaction was I was about to buy another PS4 controller because this one is 4 years old. As you can see, the thing's already tearing off on the back and all types of stuff. My knee-jerk reaction. But as I was looking at the controller, the PS4 controllers were, I think, $70, $60, $70. And I was like, well, hell, I could buy another PS4 for $300. So, and I was close to buying another PS4 because my PS4 is 4 years old now. So then something said to me, why don't you just look it up and see if someone else has had that issue? So I did. I looked it up on YouTube and come to find out there is a little reset button or a little reset thing within this PS4 controller. You need like a safety, not a safety pin, a paper clip to stick it in there to reset the actual controller. I've had this controller for years and didn't know that. I found out by looking it up. But with the information being out there, just take it for granted. Like I said, the little things. Taking technical information, even though it doesn't seem that technical, but in essence it is. Taking it for granted. Taking things for granted. Taking people for granted. Taking moments for granted. Taking health for granted. I really feel people take too many things for granted. Because one day, the thing that you take for granted may not be there. And you will start to miss the moments, the time, the information that was available when it's disappeared. Now it isn't, because it was taken for granted. And that's all I got. That's my daily thought. I hope you enjoyed it. I will do another one tomorrow, and then of course on Friday, because today's Wednesday, I'm getting my days mixed up. Everything seems to run together sometimes. But on the weekend, I will still do the Keeping It Real with KC regular episodes for those shows as well, for the show as well. But my daily thought, I hope you enjoyed it. KIRWKC.com. If you're listening, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate everyone who has been listening, all the people all over United States, Germany, the UK, Ireland, what other country? Israel. And I feel like I'm missing a country that I had seen in the analytics. But whatever country you're in, if you're listening to me, if you're watching, I don't take you for granted. Thank you. I appreciate you. And I wish you all the best in everything that you do. Don't forget to tune in again. Be blessed.